Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Out There Hour with Basil and Mark. Hello.
The Out There Hour on Alternative Future Radio. The Out There Hour with Basil and Mark. www.alternativefutureradio.com.
Yay! Yay! Are you joining in at home yet? We need everybody to join in at home.
Hang on, I think there's just a few stragglers. Wait, yeah, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Ooh. Good morning, Basil.
Good morning, Mark.
Well, here we are, broadcasting to yet more people this week, as indeed we are now a fully fledged, are we a member of the iTunes community? So, hello, Mac owners. Sorry for your distress.
You can find us on iTunes.
We are on iTunes, yes. We're also on lots of other stuff. Shall we play it? Shall we play it?
Let's do it.
Let's play it.
Let's do it.
The Out There Hour.
With Basil and Mark. You can contact us via
Facebook.com/Out There Hour.
or YouTube.com/AFRadioYT.
Or email us on
helpdesk@alternativefutureradio.com.
Skype us on AFRguest.
AlternativeFutureRadio.com.
I still think that should end with another yay.
We are good.
We should end all jingles with a yay.
We're good though, aren't we?
We're pretty good.
We are
what do you
good.
think?
We're slick.
Self-praise.
Hey? Excellent.
But what I did forget to put on there was the fact that we're on iTunes.
Well, we weren't on iTunes.
We weren't at the time, in fairness, no. But we are now. It looked like a very complicated process to get added onto iTunes. And it was moderately complicated, but not too bad. So I did it in the end.
And the listening figures, of course, are...
They've gone through the roof since we added it on iTunes. Yeah, we're going up and up and up. So I'm not really sure if I want to go into massive details as yet, because we've only been on iTunes for about 48 hours, so the figures are fairly new.
But how can people find us on iTunes? Or how can I find us on iTunes?
Okay, if you go onto the iTunes application or the website, I think you can do it on both, you can just search for Out There Hour, and we are result number 1. You can search for Basil and Mark, and we're result number 1. If you can remember some of the guests' names, we're actually quite up high. If you search for Tina Fiorda, for example, we're quite high up.
Yeah.
We're fairly easy to find, and the logo is similar to the one on our website, so it's easy to notice. Speaking of our website, alternativefutureradio.com, at the top there are all the social media banners, and the far right one is in fact a link directly to iTunes. So you can go there and you can click to subscribe.
Oh, on
our website.
AlternativeFutureRadio.com.
Yeah, it will take you to the iTunes website, and from there you can link to subscribe in your iTunes application.
And if you're trying to find the website, you can just type into the Google search engine, Alternative Future Radio.
You can. That'll find it.
That's how I get there.
You do?
Yeah.
What a slacker. You can't be bothered to write .com on the end and type it straight into Google.
Too much writing.
Too
much.
What, really? .com?
I wonder, has YouTube had its day?
I think it might have, It's ruined everything.
Crap,
isn't it? It's awful. I mean, I looked the other day and I thought, oh, look, so many subscribers somebody had, and you used to be able to click on the subscribers and see who they were. And you can't do that anymore.
Well, I'm looking at people's channels and I don't know who they are or what the channel's about anymore.
No. You also can't email people via their channel anymore. There used to be a button that said send message.
No, you can't do it directly.
You have to type in their channel name into the compose box. The email thing is there, but you've got to go into settings. And
I think you've got to add them as a friend to message them, is that right?
No, only some people.
All right.
But you have to go into the settings thing, and then there's a compose message, an inbox, and it's really long-winded. They seem to be making it increasingly more difficult to use, as if they want you to go away. They're turning it into a TV channel, that's the idea.
You had a theory about that, though, about sorting the wheat from the chaff.
Really?
Well, I thought you were saying they didn't want these small-time
exactly,
YouTube. They want the major advertisers.
Exactly. I mean, the likes of us on YouTube, they don't want us on because they end up spending money to distribute our show and earn nothing. In fact, it costs them money to have us on there. Whereas if they can get, let's say, 100 big-name shows, they could just have all money coming in from them from advertising revenue, and everybody making money, of course, will be happy. But it means that as people keep saying, they're taking the U out of YouTube.
I think something else will come up.
I think it's desperate. The market there's a massive opening there, I think, for another YouTube-style site. Vimeo, of course, is already up and running, but it's clunky, it's slow. It looks nice, and the quality's better, but it's not very user-friendly, I don't think. It's not the hardest site in the world to use, but it's not slick either.
It's the only one I'm familiar with.
There is actually another dirty copy of YouTube, and I can't remember the name, and it looks like the old YouTube used to be like 5 years ago.
Is it BoobTube?
BoobTube? No, it couldn't be. No, it's not BoobTube. It's not RudeTube.
No,
No. There are so many tube stations out there.
Yeah.
But no, it's not any of those.
Well, I'm not interested.
No, that's the end of your interest in any of it. God grief.
Well,
but no, it's definitely crap.
We've got another exciting episode of the Out There Hour today.
We've got Ben Emlyn-Jones on the channel, who some people may have heard of.
Hospital porter against the New World Order.
No, get it right. Hospital porters.
Porters?
Against the New
there's
World
more than
Order.
one. I am surprised.
It's plural, yeah.
Oh, it's a two.
I'm not
There's
sure.
two.
I'm not sure if there are actually more than one, but I think the invitation is there for more hospital porters to join.
Or is he schizophrenic?
It could well be. We'll have to ask him. I did come up with an idea yesterday in my head of a set group of questions that we should ask every guest, such as, are you insane? Do you hear voices? Are you now or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party, which has got a great ring to it? A set group of questions that people at home really would want to answer.
Well, we're looking for people like that, so the answer should be yes. If you do
exactly.
you can contact us at Alternative Future Radio.
Yes, you can. On alternativefutureradio.com, there's loads of different ways of contacting us there. I've also reinstated the chat room. Just for you.
Oh, thank you. I was the only person in it.
You were the only person in it. So if you want to leave a message particularly for Basil, then just go in the chat room and leave a message there, because he's the only one that uses it.
I'm always in it if you want to have a little chat with me about the show and what
You're
you
lurking?
heard. I lurk in there. I don't have a life.
Yeah? No, you just basically live in the chat room.
I do.
It's your virtual life.
Hoping somebody will speak to me.
Like a Hikikomori or whatever they're called.
So please do.
Yes.
Please come and talk to me.
Incidentally, I forgot to say...
Please.
I forgot to say, we have got a massive listenership. I say massive, proportionately massive, of course, in the Middle East.
Oh, yes.
We are apparently quite big in Saudi Arabia. We're quite big also in Mauritania, which I think that's African. Is that an African?
Number
on the
number one in Mauritania.
We're pretty big in Mauritania.
I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
I thought it was Eastern Europe.
So,
is it African?
I think that's actually Western African. Maybe somebody from Mauritania will tell us. I can't remember.
They probably want to send us emails about having a huge amount of money in a bank account.
Bear with me. I was just leading up to that. We're also quite big in Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
So I was going to actually say to them, by the way, where is my chest of gold? I've been waiting for it now for a few years, and I'm still not got my chest of gold. So, masalam alaikum to all the people who are in the Middle East. What do you think? Eh?
Maybe we should.
Ya Magnoon.
Maybe we should write to them in Nigeria and say that we have a
chest of gold.
Yes,
yeah.
We just need your bank account details.
Yes.
To store the money in.
Exactly. Yeah, $2,000 will release the chest of gold from us. No, we've got a better one. It's actually a crock of gold from the end of the rainbow guarded by leprechauns. And we need $2,000 to bribe the leprechauns to release the crock of gold.
On a serious note,
yeah,
I was reading in the newspaper.
Yes.
Or perhaps it was a television program, I can't remember, a few months ago, that some people have, in fairness, have actually fallen for it.
Oh, they have. I met a guy at work. Yeah. I used to work on a phone line. An open phone line, a conference call.
Could you do your Nigerian accent? Just
No.
No, okay,
no.
Sorry.
And I used to work on a conference call, and this guy from Dallas once called me after work, and he said, "Yeah, I've got this deal going, and I wonder if you might check out this phone number for me because it's a London phone number." Mm. And he gave me the number, and I said, "That's a mobile phone number." And I said. And he said, "Yeah, well, these guys have got this gold that they need to move out of this country, and they want $2,000 to help move it." He was taking it very seriously.
Or
he said,
inheritance money or something.
He said, "Yeah, we're all going to be, if you help me on this, we'll all become very rich." I went, "These people wouldn't happen to be from Nigeria, would they?" And he went, "Man, how did you know that?" I went, "Yeah, look on the Scotland Yard website. It's called the 415 scam or whatever it's called. It's even got a name. They've got a page dedicated to it." And he was literally hours away from sending them the money. He was just checking the phone number with me.
It's a few elderly people have been caught up in it as well, and it's people by and large are very trusting.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. There's nothing wrong with being a nice person, but you've got to be on your guard.
Yeah. Well, true.
It's just a warning out there to all our listeners. Don't answer any of these emails. They're scams.
They really are. There's loads of them as well.
Maybe we can find one there and read it out to give people an idea of what to expect.
Maybe we'll find one. Maybe we'll put something out in the after hours.
You might do it in your Nigerian accent.
Maybe I will.
Yeah, we'll cover it on after hours, and I guess really we're keeping our Ben waiting. So
we are. Yeah.
Maybe we should.
Shall we have some music and then we'll get Ben on after the music?
Do we want to give a little bit of information about Ben?
We've given him a title. We've given him a name. HPANWO, the hospital portal against the New World Order. We know. Do we know where he lives? He is in Oxfordshire, I believe.
I used to live in Oxfordshire.
Oh, there you go. You'll have so much to talk about.
Perhaps we went to school together.
Perhaps you're related. Perhaps you were lovers.
I don't think so.
You would remember him, surely.
I remember a handsome chap like Ben. I'm sure he'd remember me. It'd be a bit awkward for the interview if we had been lovers at some point.
Let's find out, shall we?
Yes, let's find out. Let's play some music.
To be honest with you, I almost didn't play that, but thankfully I did.
I wish you didn't.
Okay, hopefully on the line we should have Ben Emlyn-Jones, Hospital Porters Against the New World Order.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hooray!
Pride and dignity to you.
I remember. I was trying to remember what that was frantically, but I couldn't remember it. Pride and dignity, stop the New World Order.
Yeah.
Is that what that means? Good morning, Ben. It's Basil here. How are you?
Morning, Basil. I'm okay, thanks, mate. Yeah, how are you?
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
So, Ben, tell us, what is your HPANWO? And I suppose you probably want to also go over the trouble you've had from being the originator, the organizer of HPANWO.
Well, I didn't have trouble to begin with. That's part of the suspicious element to what's happened to me. Mm-hmm. But HPANWO, to go back to the beginning, HPANWO stands for Hospital Porters Against the New World Order. And I founded the franchise in 2006 because I wanted to create a blog or do some sort of internet activism to do with my concerns about the New World Order. Mm-hmm. And there's a man in America called Jack McLam.
Yes, Officer Jack McLam.
That's it, Police Against the New World Order.
That's right.
Yep, police can have an organisation against the New World Order. Why not Hospital Porters? So I founded HPANWO, and HPANWO has blossomed into more blogs. I started with one blog, it blossomed into more. I've got 5 now.
The question everybody's asking at home is, how many hospital porters have you actually got on your books?
Unfortunately, just one.
Just the one.
But I don't really sort of like see that. It's not really so much as something people have to join, you know. And I know a lot of my brother and sister porters are interested in what I do, including mere civilians, you know, who sort of I tolerate them, you know.
Yeah, obviously.
But, you know, but basically it's sort of blossomed into more areas, and more people have been watching it, and I think I'm getting the message across, you know, no matter how many other people sort of affiliate themselves or not to HPANWO.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, Ben. Jack McLam, that's a name I haven't heard of in a while. How is he?
I have to tell you the truth, I don't know him at all. I've not heard anything. I haven't looked at what he's been writing for years now. But I do remember seeing his blog, and I saw an interview with him on YouTube, and I just thought, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to have hospital porters against
he's a really kindly man. He's got this idea about what a police officer should be, not this Nazi type object with the face mask and the black uniform. Yeah. Jack's a really nice guy.
He is. He's kind of like, if America had a sort of Dixon of Doc Green type character,
exactly.
He would be it.
Yeah, that's
this is what a policeman should be. A policeman should be a nice guy who looks after people, a guardian of the community.
Yeah.
Rather than what he is today, is become a kind of servant of the state that's, you know, just comes and breaks your door down because you put your bin out on the wrong day or something. That's a slight exaggeration,
or you're growing tomatoes.
Yeah, that's right. In America, that's right. Yeah, you've got to have a license to grow your own damn food.
Yeah. Ben, going back to your HPANWO, what does HPANWO do? What is it just a loose organization? Do you do anything, or is it a internet based, or what do you actually do, and how can people join? We'll get that in first.
Okay. Well, obviously, it is internet-based. As far as joining, there's no sort of membership as such. Nothing formal. You can follow the blog on Blogger, or you can join the HPANWO forum, or and subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is Ben the JR Porter, which is there's links on the blog to that.
Well, on the article for you on the show here, we'll put all the links to all your sites. I'll get a link. I'll get a big box full of links off you and put them all on. Oh,
thank you. Yeah, there's and they could just basically do that. Now, what we do, I mean, basically, I make people aware of situations which would and information that would not normally be covered by the mainstream media. That's my goal. Is to actually make people aware of that. I'm part of, obviously, all of us are part of a network of a kind of alternative media and activism community, which loosely comes under the sort of slightly derogatory term conspiracy theorists. And we all exchange information with each other, and we all get it out there. And if something needs to be done in terms of protesting and things like that, I'll organise that. Mm-hmm. If I'm interviewed on the airwaves like I am now, I'll make people aware of that as well. And of any other interesting media spots that I hear about, I'll also publicise those as well.
When you speak about conspiracy theorists, if you happen to go onto Facebook, the amount of people that are of a like-minded just on that social network is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's, like I say, if you want to go on there, and there's the number of friends I've got now is enormous, and there is a real large number of people. I mean, a lot of surveys, and they do these sort of like surveys, Gallup and things like that. They find actually very significant proportions of people actually take these ideas seriously, even though they may not talk about it publicly. When asked anonymously for their opinion, they'll actually, there's very large numbers of people. I think there's a majority of people now support some theories like the assassination of Princess Diana and President Kennedy. Those things are now in majorities. It's a minority not to believe in conspiracy.
We had a rogue teacher at school when I was there. I call him a rogue teacher because at the time I didn't know it. But he was teaching us about the JFK assassination. And he basically, well, I say he, but we sort of came to the conclusion that it was in fact a conspiracy and that the CIA did it with the help of the mafia. I think that was what the class came to the conclusion of. Somewhat non-mainstream, but there you go.
Oh my goodness! Well, I mean, did this headmaster find out?
I suspect he never knew. We covered all sorts of crazy stuff. We covered the moon landings, which we've got a guest on about actually. What else did we cover? All sorts of crazy, unusual, conspiracy-esque type stuff. I have a feeling nobody knew he was teaching it.
I imagine so. Otherwise, he wouldn't be a teacher for very long. I mean, the scenario of in the Dead Poets Society about the school teachers. I don't know if you've ever seen that film.
It was very much like that. Very much like that. Yeah.
The maverick school teacher who they manoeuvre him out of his position. I mean, they will. I mean, this is something that's of course I've discovered that myself in my own working environment. In the case of the film, Robin Williams' character was falsely accused of inciting one of his pupils to commit suicide, and that's how they got him out. They make up, if they can't get you on what you're doing, they'll make up things.
So, speaking of which, that segues nicely into your experience and your story. What happened to you?
Well, it's quite remarkable because I mean, I was a hospital porter for 23 years, 23 years, a long time anyway.
Yeah.
And I was, I've got an exemplary record. I mean, it's like I say, it's not just a clean working record, trouble-free, but my service has been described as exemplary. I was very, very dedicated. I was involved in things like health and safety and manual handling training, and things like that. I was a basic grade porter. I was never promoted permanently above the basic grade. I did acting senior once, but I was always a basic grade porter. But I was very much involved in the running of the department. If a new member of staff started, I was usually given a job of training them, things like that. And then, out of the blue, completely unexpectedly, at 10 o'clock in the evening, I was on a night shift. The head porter came into the hospital and just brought me to her office and said, "I'm sorry, Ben, I've got to suspend you." And I had no explanation at all. I was utterly shocked. I basically went home. I staggered home in a kind of stupor, and I don't think I slept for about 2 nights. I picked up the phone. I wept down the phone to my girlfriend. I've been suspended. I got her out. And then a week later, I was brought into into the hospital for investigation meeting. This is the first time I was told anything, but I was basically told that, I was assuming this was going to be some kind of gross act of gross misconduct I've been accused of.
Yeah.
I should point out it's extremely unusual. I mean, suspension, they never suspend people unless they have to.
Yeah.
If you're an employer, suspending people is very, very time-consuming and labour-intensive.
It's expensive too, isn't it? They have to put you on full pay usually.
They have to keep paying me. They have to pay whoever covers me, and they have to pay people to organise everything. They'll do all the paperwork, which is enormous.
Yeah.
So you never do that unless you have to. Now, you normally only be suspended for gross misconduct. That is something so bad that they can't let you continue to work.
Yeah.
And that would be, for instance, coming on duty and punching a patient, or coming on duty and getting drunk, or stealing some money from someone's handbag, that sort of thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Now, as far as I know, there was nothing like that involved. What happened was I was told that some of the activities that I've been doing on the internet, in my own time, this is conduct outside work. They had no problem with anything at work. They'd received a complaint, in quote marks, that it was offensive, inappropriate, unprofessional, and every other Orwellian euphemism and dysphemism you can imagine. And it brought the hospital into disrepute. And this was outrageous. I mean, this is crazy, because I know for a fact that, I mean, I'd been given a copy of the handbook. As far as conduct outside work, your working hours goes, they can't actually suspend you or sack you for that unless it's something very, very serious. For instance, something criminal. Well, then that would normally be the case. It would be something like, and this actually happened several years before me. For instance, if a member of staff was accused of abusing a child.
Yes.
Now, in that situation, you would suspend, if that person was charged with that offence, you would suspend that person from duty.
Yeah, until the trial, I suppose.
And if they were found guilty, you'd sack them. Because in that situation, you can't allow someone with that kind of record in contact with patients, especially young patients. And that's fair enough. That's understandable. I did nothing related to that. This was a completely unprecedented situation. In fact, I actually phoned up my shop steward in the morning after I was sent home. And I said, I was suspended last night. And he said, why? And I said, I don't know. He said, what? I said, I don't know. And he's an experienced shop steward.
Yeah.
He has to deal with all kinds of situations. This is the first time he'd ever known this to happen. It's completely unprecedented.
Yeah.
Anyway, now
what did the union have to say about it?
Well, they were I think they were a little bit out of their depth, quite frankly.
Oh.
I mean, they weren't. They started coming out with all kinds of ideas that someone I upset someone at work, and had they put in some kind of complaint. And I said no. I mean, they didn't believe what my ideas were at first about this.
Yeah.
But anyway, the accusations were that one of my videos was supposedly racist. This was a video called "Microchip a Muslim Day," and it's a comedy video. My comedy character called "But You Do Nothing," I haven't done any videos with him for a while, but he used to be one of the comedy characters. He's basically having a rant about how all Muslims should have microchips put inside them.
Yes, it's like a parody then, that kind of thing.
It is a complete satire, and I think the satire is very obvious. What it was, I did this on September 2010. This is when the guy in America, pastor somebody, decided to make September the 11th burn a Quran Day.
Yes, that moron, yeah.
Basically, he luckily didn't manage to get many people involved, because most people could see what an idiot he was.
I don't think he went ahead and did it either, did he? I think he actually backed out at the end.
Did he? Oh, good. Maybe he realised.
I believe he may have got a phone call from somebody quite high up to say it would be nice if you didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean the idea was that they get together and burn copies of the Holy Quran on a fire.
Yeah, well, they burn other books as well, so why not? Why not add to it? They're burning Darwin's the theory of evolution at most weekends. So
I know, yeah, I know what you mean.
A good old-fashioned book burning.
Well, the church is expert at that, haven't they? Yeah. It's I suppose my point was to parody that, because I mean I get the feeling, for me, this sort of anti-Muslim sentiment, ever since the false flag attack on 9/11, has been what David Icke calls a problem reaction solution.
Yeah.
That you have a problem, you blame someone for it, then you offer the solution, and this is what we've certainly seen in our world since then, where you have these goons dress up in with beards who keep burning poppies and things like that. The guy who led that provably an MI5 agent, and that's actually provable. And I basically wanted to parody that by saying, look, very often what you'll find is that they'll create an enemy, and the enemy has to be targeted, and the public will support the attack against this perceived enemy, not realizing that the attack is also against them.
Yeah.
For instance, new Big Brother laws to control, asylum seekers, protection of children. They bring in more and more Big Brother laws for that, and CCTV.
Any law for your own good is one you'd have to be worried about.
Well, exactly, because the thing about it is, I mean, a lot of the public will be behind this, not realizing that once
they're being duped.
Once this is in place, it becomes a pilot scheme for something much bigger.
And we've. Yeah, an example I always make, Ben, is right up in Nazi Germany with the Jews, right up until the point they were walking into the gas chamber, they thought everything that was done for them was done for their own good and their own protection.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
And very similar laws as well.
Yeah, sold a story.
Well, in fact, there's very much parallels between the emergence of various tyrannical states throughout history and the situation we're in now with the burning of the Reichstag, which was supposedly carried out by Dutch communists, but it's later been found. There's a lot of evidence actually that the Nazis did that themselves.
Yeah,
the false flag attack.
Oh, they did it themselves, and they had a young, mentally retarded chap, and they said he had done it.
Really?
Yeah. I think he was meant to be Polish.
The old lone gunman routine.
Honestly, yeah.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's. I remember Hitler always planned to. He never planned to call his territories the Third Reich forever. I mean, he originally had an envision of a much larger community, which he called the Europäische Vereinschaft, I think it was, and that actually means in German European Union.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bit chilly. But so basically, you were suspended or sacked for political ideals.
Yeah, for creating a video which is very obviously a satire, and what's more, people understood it was a satire. Yes. And the video was not flagged, and I got no rude comments apart from the usual troll element. Yeah. I got no rude comments. People understood that it was a satire. To me, it was very blatant.
It's kind of like it's like Ali G is obviously satire.
Extremely. And I treat my as far as I'm concerned, I treat my readers and my viewers as intelligent intellectuals who are capable of more than one-dimensional thinking.
You haven't met us yet.
Yeah.
Well, I hope. Well, I mean, I know that's. Well, there's another element. I know that's the case because, firstly, this video was put up in. I repeat, it was put up in September 2010.
Yeah.
And so basically, it was online for a year. And no one complained about it. And this is despite the fact that nobody is kept in the dark about what I do. I'm quite open about what I do at work.
Well, that's interesting. It was a year later.
Yeah, and what's more, I have viewers and readers in senior managerial grades at the hospital, and never, not once, has anyone complained. And not only that, I've not even had people approaching me informally, in a friendly manner, saying, Ben, I'm just telling you for your own good. This is slightly dodgy what you're doing here. Yeah. Especially when you talk about hospital porters and things like that, you're bringing the hospital into it. There's something dodgy, and nobody did that. You
would think if there was just one video that was the offending article, somebody would have a little word and say, "Look, this might be seen to be this much. Yes, we know it's a joke, but it might be seen by that to be some people. Could you please delete
just take it down?" Yeah,
and you would have probably begrudgingly taken it down in all likelihood, I would guess.
Honestly, if someone had come to me sooner after the video had been put up, and there wasn't these other suspicious elements, and they'd asked me nicely if I could amend it or take it down, I would have done so, or even put up a disclaimer or something. I'd have probably agreed. Yeah. But what we have here instead is we have a situation where they wait. No one says anything for a year, and then we have what I can only describe as a forced overreaction and misunderstanding, which seems to be very conveniently timed. And
a year later, though. A year later, that's crazy.
Well, there's a reason why I think it happened at that time.
Go on.
And the reason is that just several weeks before my suspension, I was featured in several national newspapers who were covering the conspiracy conference circuit.
Ah.
One of them was The Sun, which this was during the phone hacking scandal when they were making an attempt to be decent journalists.
Right.
So they did a reasonably factual, slightly tongue-in-cheek, but not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Although I must interject that my expectations of the tabloid newspapers cannot really be undercut.
No.
However, it was a reasonably factual sort of report on the Weird conference in Swindon.
Yeah.
And I was included in that. And then later on, I got a call from a guy who is a reporter on the Wales on Sunday, and he asked to do an interview with me directly. So I did. He guessed that I have Welsh roots because of my name.
Yeah.
I actually do come from West Wales originally. Before. I live in Oxford now. But I did an interview with him as well. And literally just a few days later, we're talking 10... I mean, it's hard to calculate exactly how long, but because there was a weekend and a bank holiday in between. But basically, within 2 weeks, definitely, this complaint was processed. And that is remarkable because... As I said to you before, this is where the breach of normal procedure and practice comes in, which is also very suspicious. It's not just the suspension, which was very, very improper and unusual practice, but it's also the fact that complaints. The hospital received a lot of complaints, and I do mean a lot. In fact, when I was a manual handling instructor, I mean I knew about this because I had to fill out these complaints myself. Now, can you guess how many complaints and adverse incident reports the Oxford Radcliffe Trust receives every month?
Every month? 2,000.
Higher, much higher.
Good grief.
30,000. Well, I tell you, that's the 4 hospitals at the Trust receive 30,000 complaints and adverse incident reports every month. That's 3,000 a day.
Is that mostly people whining about queues and dirty toilets or something like that, is it? That kind of thing? Or
Some of them are, but most of them are sort of like reports from members of staff about incidents that have occurred on duty in the working practice, medical reports, non-clinical risk assessment reports, things like that. And I had to fill out a few of these myself, and I can well believe it. Now, these 30,000 complaints and incidents, right, were priorities given to clinical hazards, which pose a direct and immediate threat to the well-being and lives of personnel and patients.
Yeah.
Priority has to be given to major clinical hazards, and there's a priority assessment you have to do when you fill these forms out. Right. Now, the normal response time for a general complaint, right, would be about 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, I usually got replies within 3 months. Obviously, for major clinical hazards, this would be quicker. But I'll tell you, my own complaint took less than 2 weeks. This means bypassed the normal complaints channel. It was fast-tracked.
Yeah, this was your complaint about your suspension or the
fast-tracked. It was fast-tracked outside the normal complaint channel.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I mean, and this is after I've been doing HPANWO for 6 years. I've been doing HPANWO TV for nearly as long. I make no secrets about it. I appear in the national newspapers. Suddenly, I'm suspended. I mean, I suspect that the suspension management, the suspension issue was actually an attempt to shock me.
Yeah. Well, Ben, have you taken any action against them or challenged the suspension?
Do you have an appeal or anything?
I basically had to wait until my appeal was finished, and my appeal has now been heard. So I'm looking at taking legal action. Yeah. I've actually got I've got to speak to someone tomorrow actually about that.
Now, Ben, we're talking about suspension, so I'm assuming you're not still suspended, or are you still suspended?
Well, no, I was actually sacked. I was actually formally discharged from the NHS on the 6th of January. I had an appeal. I put in an appeal which was heard on the 29th of that's the 30th of last month, and now basically that appeal was turned down, as I knew it would be. I mean, unfortunately, I knew that the appeal would not be sustained. But now I have to I have to take legal action now. Now, unfortunately, my appeal's been turned down, but there are other steps I can take, and there's other people like Tony Farrell and Kevin Annett and other people who've been through this same situation for raising these same subjects. Like Tony Farrell was a policeman who said that 9/11 was an inside job.
Oh, that was
I've heard of him.
Yes, I have seen him. A very plausible. Man as well.
He was reasonably senior, wasn't he? From South Yorkshire Police, I think.
He was a criminal intelligence analyst.
That was the chap. Yeah.
Long service. He'd been in the police force, I think, almost as long as I've been in portering, and even longer. And he again, he was a very senior very senior officer.
Yeah.
Another was Kevin Annett, who is a vicar, who was a vicar in Canada.
Yeah.
Who ran a church in a small town, and he was sacked as well. He was defrocked from the church and dismissed because he He was saying basically the boarding schools they had in Canada, called residential schools, which were like boarding schools for the Indian children.
Yes.
Basically killing the kids. Half the kids who went in those schools, they were supposed to be getting an education, but half of them who went in there never came out. And the ones that did come out were telling stories about torture, murder, abuse, sexual abuse, you name it, whatever horror, and it was going on in there.
Typical boarding school.
Yeah, in these residential schools. Kevin Annett spoke out about this, and he was immediately, basically crucified by the church authority, by the bishop, and by the church authorities. And he's now a campaigner against them, against this whole issue, trying to get this whole issue out.
And how have the other people who've been suspended and dismissed? How have their appeals gone? Is there any hope for yours? Do you think?
I think now. I mean, obviously, I can't get my discharge reversed, but I can get compensation. I mean, there's Tony Farrell is going through this process right now. Kevin Annett went through that. He tried to. I don't know exactly what the procedures were. I've got a copy of his book here, and I read about it. That was a couple of months ago. But Tony Farrell is in the process of this now. Tony Farrell has a much stronger case than me, actually, because they're not pretending with him. They're actually being more honest with Tony Farrell. Yeah, they're actually saying, look, you were getting rid of you because you say 9/11 is an inside job.
Yeah, I've seen this. I've seen interviews with him, and his report seems to be more or less based on the facts, the public facts, and he's basically just reached a slightly different conclusion based on the same facts, if I read it correctly.
Well, I mean, like all policemen, he has that policeman's manner, and the same goes for Gary Heseltine, who was a police officer who was actually threatened with. He wasn't actually sacked. He was threatened with being sacked for simply mentioning the name of the police force he was in when he was on stage doing a speech about UFOs. Yeah, and Gary Heseltine's the same. He has a very, very he talks like a copper, and he does this. Yeah, and he approaches the whole subject like a copper, and he talks. And this is. And he says, if this was a police investigation, Tony Farrell and Gary Heseltine both say this, it was a police investigation, this is the conclusion that would be reached. This is what you would go to court with. This is what you would charge the suspect with. Yeah. And for that, they've been really treated badly. When you think about what the police do tolerate within their ranks, the stories of corruption. Yeah. And this guy, Gary Heseltine, and he just talks up and says, I believe in UFOs. He does speeches about it in his own time, not wearing his uniform. And not representing the police force. He's doing it in his own time.
Is Tony Farrell the man I saw? Was he talking about the 7/7 bombings in the UK?
He mentioned that as well. Yeah, he talks about that too. Yeah. I mean, he talks about he explains their false flag operations. He's a man of great integrity. He won't tell a lie.
Yes, he seems like that.
He seems a very genuine guy.
And I think what he was saying, if I've understood correctly, is that it was one gentleman, was it, who was shot in the tubes? That he thought he thought he was doing manoeuvres for the police.
Oh, you mean Jean-Charles de Menezes?
He thought it was a drill. Yeah, and they had asked him to run through the tube station.
Well, that's an old story. That's been recycled a few times over the years, hasn't it?
Is that what happened?
They've done that before in other countries.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not sure exactly. Well, I know that in Brazil, I mean, if the thing is, I mean, this guy was Brazilian, and if you're in Brazil and the police tell you to stop, you run because they'll take you behind a parked car and shoot you. Right. And so, whatever the reason he ran for, maybe it was set up. I don't. That's a possibility. But I think the suspicious element, or whatever was the source behind that killing, there's no doubt that the police authorities have actually quashed a serious investigation into that.
I mean, what is more important, I think, is the fact that nobody ever sees a trial for any of these types of atrocities. There's never even a trial, never mind a conviction.
There's almost no. There should be an official inquiry, and an independent inquiry, and they won't do it.
But that then wouldn't serve the people who they're working for, though, would it? I assume.
Exactly. Well, I think the only time you would not have an official inquiry would be if you have something to hide. That
would be my guess.
Exactly. Then you wouldn't want an official inquiry. You wouldn't want an official independent inquiry.
Speaking of things to hide, now you've covered your story there about what's happened to you up to just. Going back to your actual HPANWO organisation, Stroke Conquest, just for the people, because we reach quite a broad audience of people, and they wouldn't necessarily be conspiracy-esque listeners, because we also cover anything that's out there basically. So we cover things, or we've got people coming on about some stuff you wouldn't believe. So they might not even know what you're talking about when you say New World Order, because the last time anybody said that in public was in like 1937. So What is your understanding of what a New World Order is? Is it an entity? Is it a person? Do they have a tax code? Who are they? Where are they? And what are they up to?
Well, people often ask me, have you got an address for the Illuminati? No, I don't. No, the New World Order is a model of society which a certain element within the leadership of this world are pushing for. It's a certain type of society. It's a society that is best described as extremely authoritarian, extremely uniform, and with a very kind of simplistic global power structure, which will be extremely harsh, extremely unvarying, and completely oppressive among the normal people. It would give absolute power to a small elite of people.
Now, does this exist, or is it an ideal?
I think I think the agenda for it does exist, and I think the way the world is going at the moment, the political and social and cultural direction that the world is taking seems to be heading in that direction more and more.
Well, we like to ask questions that people at home would be shouting out at the screen. So I suppose the questions they'd be asking is, well, what proof have you got? Why should they listen to anything at all? You should say, Mr. Hospital Porterman.
Well, proof. I mean, as I said, I don't have a fax from the Illuminati. I don't know what their website is.
Is the Illuminati and the New World Order the same thing? Because I imagine people are wondering that as well.
Well, the Illuminati is a network of secret societies, which seems to be running the show. Is running the show. And as I said, I mean, I actually don't have any direct evidence that this exists. I don't have any direct evidence at all that this is happening, because in all the published material you see and it is available, it tends to tends to be completely oblivious and designed to direct us away from that. I mean, there are interesting things that certain elitists say. People like Zbigniew Brzezinski who wrote, and this is not necessarily suppressed. I mean, sometimes they speak quite openly about it in their own books. Because they know that most people won't read those books anyway. So what the hell, you know?
Makes you wonder why they write them.
Well, I thought to myself, why do they say it so openly? And I think, well, because they know no one. There are very few. They know. It doesn't matter if a few people read it. Doesn't matter, But they talk quite openly about the fact they need to control people through the use of technology, for the use of cultural, imposing certain cultural features in the media and in culture.
They consider themselves the like almost the wardens. They're the elite, and they're, it's like running a farm to them, the globe, isn't it? That's the attitude.
It is very much so, and they're doing it very, very craftily. There's a lot of very open tyrannical societies, and there has been in this world. I mean, even on large scale, such as the Nazis and the Soviet Union. These are openly dictatorial societies, and the thing about those societies is they do have a finite life, because people will not tolerate being treated like that openly in their lives. However, what we see in our present world is it's something much more subtle and much more harder to pin down. It's much more like the situation in 1984 with George Orwell, in which the people were the main target of the oppressive regime was the human mind. It was designed to actually make us think in a certain way. It is to make our minds change so that we became slaves. It was not so much forced on us. It was.
You mentioned Nazi Germany, and you mentioned communist Russia, and all these other things. It's worth remembering that especially Germany was a very bohemian, a very free society before this kind of tyranny came in. They were very much like the modern West. It's worth the people to understand that, because they don't quite understand how tyranny happens.
No, I mean, in the case of yes, exactly. In the case of the Nazis, I mean, this was a modern, one of the most modern and advanced countries in the world.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It suffered terrible. What it did was it suffered terrible economic problems.
Oh, sounds familiar.
The Great Depression hit it very, very badly indeed. And, it was this actually. Put the people in a situation where they were basically panicking, and they turned to the first person who offered them a solution. In which case it was this demagogue Adolf Hitler, who was funded and supported by the West. He was spoken of very highly by everyone from American presidents to British statesmen, including Winston Churchill. Actually, I mean, this idea that Neville Chamberlain is this kind of he was the lone voice supporting Hitler is nonsense. Everyone was supporting him,
Well,
wanted to appease him.
We had an interesting guest on last week, Ben.
We did, yeah.
His name is Gerard Williams. He's written a book called The Grey Wolf.
Grey Wolf, The Escape of Adolf Hitler.
And in the book, what he maintains is that Hitler actually didn't die in the bunker, but he escaped to Argentina along with many of the high-ranking Nazis. He died in 1965 in Argentina, according to Gerard. But the point Gerard was trying to make is all of the wealth and the money that they had stolen, they brought with them. And while they were in South America, they started buying into the corporate world, into the financial world.
Yeah,
and
I can very believe it.
It was quite a stunning one because they were the originators of the New World Order.
Yeah, but they coined the phrase, certainly. Ben, I know a little bit about this subject, and I do notice that there are a certain percentage of the names involved in this New World Order that people talk about that do have a slight Germanic twang, shall we say.
Yeah, you could. I mean, in America, of course, they have. In America, yeah, of course, there's lots of people with strange. But you notice people in government like Wolfowitz, and they have German-sounding names. I mean, it's. I mean, a lot of these people have, are descended from these kind of societies. Like I said, in Nazi Germany, for instance, I mean, I think Prince Philip was educated at a Nazi school.
He was. All of his sisters married Nazi officers.
Yeah, it's Prince Bernhard of who's the
Netherlands,
consort of the consort of Queen Juliana of the Netherlands. He was in the SS. He founded the Bilderberg Group. Now, the Bilderberg Group, of course, is one of these very, very crucial and very important secret organisations that directs global policy, and it includes more sort of like so-called grey organisations like Ditchley Park.
Just to clarify for people, 200 of the world's most important people meeting in a private location.
Some of them elected.
Which is illegal, every year.
Yeah, that's actually illegal under the American Constitution.
It is illegal, yeah.
Oh, so what's new, eh?
No,
I mean, the American Constitution's just been it now, I mean, the thing about it is there's grey organisations like the Ditchley Foundation and the Royal Institute of International Affairs, and these come down from these black organisations like the Bilderberg Group, and eventually the first thing the mainstream media pick it up is the so-called white organisations like the G12. And the various other open, quite public summits that come out. But I mean, you get millions of protesters, appearing at these various G12 and G8 summits. But it's a few dedicated sort of hardcore people who understand things like the Bilderberg Group and actually attend.
Yeah, but that's an interesting point, Ben, because the G20 and the whatever it is, all those summits, they garner enormous media interest, and yet something like the Bilderberg Group, where you have all these powerful people from all over the world, never gets a mention. How is that?
I know, it's because that's where the decisions are made. The decisions are not made at the G12 and the G20. There's very often the same people, or even more powerful people, attend Bilderberg groups.
Yeah.
And then they go back to their own countries and they institute the policies through these various international summits and through their own parliaments and Congress, halls of Congress and things like that.
I think we'll probably have to get you back on again to talk about this in more depth, I think, Ben. Plus some of your other interesting topics that you've talked on before I've seen on your website. Ben, do you want to plug your website, because we're almost up there for the hour?
Sure, my website is HPANWO, that's HPANWO.blogspot.com, and that stands for Hospital Porters Against the New World Order. There's a YouTube channel associated with that.
Yep.
There's a web forum. There's a blog where I do fiction, because there's fiction involved in that. I write fiction as well, and there's all kinds of things branching off from that. But that's the main site, is HPANWO.
Lovely.
Oh, Ben, just one more thing before you go. I'd recommend tuning in on Wednesday. We'll be speaking to Anthony J. Hilder.
We hope so.
Oh, I know. Oh, I met him. I met him in Bristol at an event in Bristol. Yeah, he interviewed me. He's a very interesting guy. He was going with this when he was making things in the 1960s, long before
Yeah.
Alex Jones was born.
Yeah, oh yeah.
David Icke was still playing football. You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a veteran of this struggle. He
Yeah.
really
Of
is.
his field.
We're currently talking to him, trying to get him on for Wednesday, but we shall see. We shall see.
Oh, I thought it was confirmed. Sorry,
I
me
think
and my big mouth.
Exactly, always blurting things out.
Sorry. Okay, Ben. Ben, thanks ever so much.
Thanks, Ben.
Do get him on if you can. Yeah.
Cheers
Thank you.
later. See you later, Ben.
See you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks ever so much.
Right, time for a little bit of music, if you like some, and we'll be back to wrap up.
There's nothing much to do on Dagobah, so I mostly listen to Basil and Mark on their Out There Hour show on Alternative Future Radio.
Ha-ha! We are back.
Things are tough for Yoda.
Yeah, I know.
He's not getting a lot of work these days.
Not at this age, anyway. When 900 years old you are, this good you will not look.
I've seen he's doing Vodafone ads as well.
Yeah, I mean, that is slackish. That's pretty bad, isn't it?
And us.
You know your star is waned if you're doing Vodafone ads.
Hey, wasn't Ben a terrific guy?
Ben's brilliant.
Oh, I love him.
He also knows a lot about a few other subjects as well.
Like
he mentioned UFOs there. I think he's got some sort of
Just UFOs, is
some
it?
sort of imperial entanglements.
Yeah, well, we really need to talk to somebody about UFOs because we don't know much about them. And
Not really. Not
No.
a great deal. Speaking of UFOs, we've only got a few minutes left, but what do you think about that sonic boom bang alang thing that happened in
Okay.
England the other day? Do you know about
well,
it?
why don't you explain what it is first?
Oh, okay. There was...
Bearing in mind we haven't got much time.
Oh my God, we'll cover it in after hours.
Okay.
They'll have to tune in. We'll give them the little tantalus right at the end.
But
They'll have to
we'd
come
just
back.
like to
We'll
thank
talk about it in depth.
Ben Emlyn-Jones of the
Ben Emlyn-Jones.
Hospital Porters Against the New World Order.
Yep. Pride and something. Still can't remember. Pride and Dignity, was that it?
Pride and Dignity.
That's his little sign-off.
What a nice guy, and what a terrible thing to happen to him.
It's rubbish, isn't it?
It is madness. What's going on there?
That's the question. That is the question.
He got.
What
I
is
mean,
going on?
I'm not sure was he sacked for his political ideals or putting up the video.
It's hard to know, isn't it? And it sounds like they're not telling either.
And the video just seemed to be pure comedy. Like I say, Ali G. I mean, you see
Yeah.
that kind of spoofing.
As he said, if it was only up for a day and they said, look, that looks a bit dodgy, then you'd say, well, fair enough.
Yeah.
But it was up for a year. I mean, a year. How can you offend somebody a year later?
But then he had been in the media then quite a lot as well.
All of a sudden, you see, then it matters.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's a person's prerogative, isn't it? Whatever job you're in, I'm sure.
You would think so. You would hope so. But apparently not. So
It's not. It wasn't fair. It wasn't nice. I didn't like that.
no, I don't like that at all.
No.
And it sounds like he's not on his own either. Sounds like it's happened to a few people.
Oh yeah, and you can tell by listening to Ben, he's a real, kindly sort of nice.
It's a very nice chap,
No,
yeah.
yeah.
Seems to be very well informed.
Oh yeah, very well informed. So how long have we got now, Mark?
Oh, well, we've not got enough time to start going on about very, very interesting things, so we'll probably just
Okay.
keep it with, nothing but tripe and filler, as usual.
Excellent. Oh, are you saying we do something else apart from tripe and filler?
Sometimes I like to delude myself and believe that sometimes we turn out decent content.
Made a bit of a boo-boo there. Anthony J. Hilder isn't coming on Wednesday.
Well, we think he is. He said he would come on.
He's
and
coming, but we don't know when.
We're negotiating these things.
Well,
These
yeah,
things take
We're
negotiation.
negotiating. And
Yeah.
Any other upcoming guests?
Well, we've got quite a few upcoming guests, actually. Let's have a little look. We have got Andrew Johnson coming on Friday.
He's a big fish.
Yeah, normally we have after hours for Friday, but we may end up with extra episodes this week because he could only come on Friday. So Andrew Johnson, he's coming on to talk about how the moon landings were hoaxed and the alien disclosure project type thing, which is going on.
This is going to be an interesting one because I don't see that they were hoaxed.
Yeah, I'm not overly convinced. There's some things that don't really add up for me, but there are some very weird things about it, certainly. I'm not sure.
I think they did. Why? What?
There's a few interesting things, like the conversations that, was it Collins had when he was on the far side of the moon describing lights and structures and things.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Meaning he was there, though.
Well, yeah, true, but that's also true, yeah. We'll have to ask him about this.
We are, yeah.
Then, I mean, they reckon that the radiation shielding wasn't good enough to have got that far. That's one of the, I've heard that used before, but he's the expert.
I can only assume it was a propaganda thing with the Russians.
Could have been.
Yeah.
We've also got Jonathan Downs coming on to talk about...
he's a wonderful man.
I've written Mysterious Creatures on the website, because at the time I couldn't remember how to spell cryptozoology.
Jonathan Downs' Mysterious Creatures is worth having a look at on YouTube. He's just so entertaining and so knowledgeable.
Oh, he seems to know everything.
Oh, he's a real academic.
Yeah.
We're going to be struggling.
We're scary. We're scared
of
him already.
Do?
He's scaring me and he's not even been on.
Yeah, I know.
We've also got Elania Skywing. I think that's Elania. I'm sure she'll let me know.
I think it's Elania Skywing.
Yeah, and she is now, let me get this right, she is a minister of a church called Solarize, and she describes herself as a shaman, shamanic type person. It's all very interesting.
It's going to be the Church of Organic Food.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they basically have a belief in eating sort of whole organic food.
I wonder how many members they have.
I don't know.
Would it be as many as the hospital porters against the New World Order?
I actually think they've got quite a few.
Oh, really?
Yes. I have to stand up for that. I think they've got quite a few, and I think it's growing quite quickly as well. There is some mention in her spiel about organic food, of course, having to be labelled as such, and their particular church doesn't eat GMOs, which means that if you've got a recognised religion, then you can make sure the government label GMO products, which they currently don't do in America.
That can only be a good thing. But so what about
it's a bit of an angle
what about
there.
in the UK? They don't currently.
I don't know. That is the problem. I don't know.
So how can you
I'm interested in it. I still don't know.
How can you avoid GM if you don't know whether you're having it or not?
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, they're sneaking it into all sorts of things these days, and they've started changing the wording as well.
GM food, for people who don't know, will be a cross between an insect and a wheat.
Could be anything. Could be plants crossed. Could be animals crossed. Mouse DNA they use.
No, but they people are going to think that it's just a cross between organic.
Yeah.
It's not. This is real Frankenstein horrific.
Oh, it's
stuff.
crazy stuff. We'll talk about that in After Hours.
You could be eating wheat mouse.
We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, everybody.
See you again.
See you all later.
My name's Gump, Forrest Gump, and I like to listen to the Out There Hour on Alternative Future Radio with Basil and Mark. I'm sorry for fighting at your Black Panther party. The Out There Hour
with Basil and Mark. You can contact us via
Facebook.com/Out There Hour
or YouTube.com/AFRadioYT
or email us on
helpdesk@alternativefutureradio.com.
Skype us on AFRguest.
AlternativeFutureRadio.com.
The Out There Hour on Alternative Future Radio. The Out There Hour with Basil and Mark. www.alternativefutureradio.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Out There Hour with Basil and Mark. Hello.
The Out There Hour on Alternative Future Radio. The Out There Hour with Basil and Mark. www.alternativefutureradio.com.
Yay! Are you joining in at home yet? We need everybody to join in at home.
Hang on, I think there's just a few stragglers. Wait, yeah. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Ooh. Good morning, Basil.
Good morning, Mark.
Well, here we are, broadcasting to yet more people this week, as indeed we are now fully fledged. Are we a member of the iTunes community? So, hello, Mac owners. Sorry for your distress.
You can find us on iTunes.
We are on iTunes, yes. We're also on lots of other stuff. Shall we play it? Shall we play it?
Let's do it.
Let's play it.
Let's do it.
The Out There Hour
with Basil and Mark. You can contact us via
Facebook.com/Out There Hour
or YouTube.com/AFRadioYT
or email us on
helpdesk@alternativefutureradio.com.
Skype us on AFRguest.
AlternativeFutureRadio.com.
I still think that should end with another yay.
AlternativeFutureRadio.com.
It will take you to the iTunes website, and from there you can link to subscribing your iTunes application.
And if you're trying to find the website, you can just type into the Google search engine Alternative Future Radio.
You can. That'll find it.
That's how I get there.
You do?
Yeah.
What a slacker. You can't be bothered to write .com on the end and type it straight into Google.
Too much writing.
Into the...
Too much.
What, really? .com?
I wonder, has YouTube had its day?
I think it might have, you know. It's ruined everything.
Crap,
it's
isn't it?
awful. I mean, I looked the other day and I thought, oh, look, you know, so many subscribers somebody had. And you used to be able to click on the subscribers and see who they were. And you can't do that anymore.
Well, I'm looking at people's channels, and I don't know who they are or what the channel's about anymore.
No. You also can't email people
Yeah.
Via their channel anymore. There used to be a button that said send message.
No, you can't do it directly.
You have to type in their channel name into the compose box. The email thing is there, but you've got to go into settings. And
I think you've got to add them as a friend to message them. Is that right?
No, only some people.
All right.
But you have to go into the settings thing, and then there's a compose message, an inbox, and it's really long-winded. They seem to be making it increasingly more difficult to use, as if they want you to go away. They're turning it into a TV channel. That's the idea.
You had a theory about that, though, about sorting the wheat from the chaff.
Really?
Well, I thought you were saying that they didn't want these small-time.
Well, yeah, exactly.
YouTube. They want the major advertisers.
Exactly. I mean, the likes of
Porter against the New World Order.
No, get it right. Hospital porters.
Porters.
Against the New
there's
World
more than
Order.
one. I am surprised.
It's plural. Yeah.
Oh, it's two.
I'm not
There's
sure.
two.
I'm not sure if there are actually more than one, but I think the invitation is there for more hospital porters to join.
Or is he schizophrenic?
It could well be. We'll have to ask him. I did come up with an idea yesterday in my head of a set group of questions that we should ask every guest, such as, are you insane? Do you hear voices? Are you now or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party, which has got a great ring to it? A set group of questions that people at home really would want to answer.
Well,
you know?
we're looking for people like that, so the answer should be yes. If you do
exactly.
you can contact us at Alternative Future Radio.
Yes, you can. On alternativefutureradio.com, there's loads of different ways of contacting us there. I've also reinstated the chat room. Just for you.
Oh, thank you. I was the only person in it.
You were the only person in it. So if you want to leave a message particularly for Basil, then just go in the chat room and leave a message there, because he's the only one that uses it.
I'm always in it if you want to have a little chat with me about the show and what
You're
you
lurking?
I lurk in there. I don't have a life.
Yeah? No, you just basically live in the chat room.
I do.
It's your virtual life.
Hoping somebody will speak to me.
Like a Hikikomori or whatever they're called.
So please do.
Yes.
Please come and talk to me.
Incidentally, I forgot to say...
Please.
We have got a massive listenership. I say massive, proportionately massive, of course, in the Middle East.
Oh, yes.
We are apparently quite big in...
We are good.
We should end all jingles with a yay.
We're good, though, aren't we?
We're pretty good.
We are
what do you
good.
think?
We're slick.
Self-praise.
Hey? Excellent.
But what I did forget to put on there was the fact that we're on iTunes.
Well, we weren't on iTunes.
We weren't at the time, in fairness, no. But we are now. It looked like a very complicated process to get added onto iTunes. And it was moderately complicated, but not too bad. So I did it in the end.
And the listening figures, of course, are...
They've gone through the roof since we added it on iTunes. Yeah, we're going up and up and up. So I'm not really sure if I want to go into massive details as yet, because we've only been on iTunes for about 48 hours, so the figures are fairly new. But
how can people find us on iTunes? Or how can I find us on iTunes?
Okay, if you go onto the iTunes application or the website, I think you can do it on both, you can just search for Out There Hour, and we are result number 1. You can search for Basil and Mark, and we're result number 1. If you can remember some of the guests' names, we're actually quite up high. If you search for Tina Fiorda, for example, we're quite high up.
Yeah.
We're fairly easy to find, and the logo is similar to the one on our website, so it's easy to notice. Speaking of our website, alternativefutureradio.com, at the top there are all the social media banners, and the far right one is in fact a link directly to iTunes. So you can go there and you can click to subscribe.
Oh, on
our website. Us on YouTube, they don't want us on because they end up spending money to distribute our show and earn nothing. In fact, it costs them money to have us on there. Whereas if they can get, let's say, 100 big name shows, they could just have all money coming in from them from advertising revenue, and everybody making money, of course, will be happy. But it means that as people keep saying, they're taking the U out of YouTube.
I think something else will come up.
I think it's desperate. The market there's a massive opening there, I think, for another YouTube-style site. Vimeo, of course, is already up and running, but it's clunky, it's slow. It looks nice, and the quality's better, but it's not very user-friendly, I don't think. It's not the hardest site in the world to use, but it's not slick either.
It's the only one I'm familiar with.
There is actually another dirty copy of YouTube, and I can't remember the name, and it looks like the old YouTube used to be like 5 years ago.
Is it BoobTube?
BoobTube? No, it couldn't be. No, it's not BoobTube. It's not RudeTube.
No,
No. There are so many tube stations out there.
Yeah.
But no, it's not. It's not any of those.
Well, I'm not interested.
No, that's the end of your interest in any of it. God grief.
Well,
but, no, it's definitely crap.
We've got another exciting episode of the Out There Hour today.
We've got Ben Emlyn-Jones on the channel, who some people may have heard of.
Hospital